Joining me now is Astronomer's SVP of Data and AI, Stephen Hillion. Welcome to NYSC TV Live.
Thanks for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
Absolutely. So, we just saw you a little bit right now on screen. Let's talk about Cohere's
That was true, by the way.
Yes, it
All
was?
real.
Really?
Yeah,
No, I was going to say.
Somewhat staged.
Somewhat staged, okay, just a little bit. But let's talk about Cohere's APIs, or Application Programming Interface.
Yeah.
Tell our viewers about this and why it plays such a crucial role.
Well, Astronomer, my company, uses Cohere to provide access to large language models because in the end, we're a data company, we're a data pipeline company. We help companies like NYSE, for example, to power the flow of data throughout those organizations. We're not experts in large language models or generative AI. Cohere gives us that.
Yeah.
It gives us access to the power of advanced predictive models, language models, so that we can use them to help better serve our customers.
Well, I want to talk more about that. Tell me exactly how you went about leveraging Cohere's technologies to help really take your platform to the next level.
Yeah. So one of the things that our customers find most challenging is when those pipelines fail.
Yeah.
Imagine in your house, if your plumbing gets stuck, that's a really unpleasant thing to have to deal with. If
I
your
hate
data
plumbing
pipeline,
issues.
if your data, these are a little cleaner, but
Yes.
if your data pipelines get stuck, then that can be pretty hard to unravel. You have to get your data engineers involved, and they spend a lot of time having to wrangle log files and dig through the code and figure out. Now, as the data pipeline company, as the company that runs Airflow for all these big organizations, we've amassed years and years of experience of what goes wrong and how that then gets fixed. With large language models, we can actually learn from that to provide solutions to our customers immediately. So those data engineers, when they have to deal with those plumbing issues, can immediately get suggestions based on all of that historical data about what to do next.
And I want to talk about your partnerships, right? Because Astronomer has a partnership in the defending World Series champions, the Texas Rangers, yes.
That's right.
The role Astronomer plays with this within the Rangers operation, I want to dive deep more into that, and baseball in general as a sport, as it leads more heavily into the AI space, specifically when it comes to data and analytics.
Yeah, well, I think we all remember from a few years ago stories like Moneyball, and the influence of analytics and machine learning on professional sports. And the Texas Rangers are a perfect example of that, whether it's talking about health regimes for athletes or whether it's talking about plays on the field. They need to be able to use the most advanced data so they can get an edge over the competition. And that's a lot of data to collect from a lot of different places and a lot of processing to get those solutions and those answers and those predictive models and so on. That's really what we do, is we help them amass data from all these different sources and process that to get value out of it.
Does Astronomer have other partnerships with any other sports teams? If so, or if not, do they have plans to?
Well, certainly we do actually, but perhaps more than professional sports teams. That's certainly an area where we've got a number of customers, is actually on sports gaming.
Okay.
And online games in general.
Which
so like FanDuel, for example, is a customer of ours.
Which, by the way, they were just here at the New York.
Okay,
exactly.
great.
Like we have them at the New York Stock Exchange. We've seen such an uptick with online gaming, especially in recent years, especially during COVID. So tell me about
So imagine if you're the Texas Rangers, right? You've got to gather data from all the games that you play, all the players that you have. Well, now imagine you have millions of players across the internet, right, like FanDuel has. Then that's a lot more data to process and a lot more analytics that you have to do. So really for us, the greater the scale of the data, the more that you need to marshal all of that together and coordinate it. And that's really what Astronomer does. Astronomer is really about when you've got these levels of data pipelines that are running into the millions and millions of tasks and computations running every day, that becomes impossible for a single team or even multiple teams to manage. You need some level of observability. It's like you need to be able to send plumbers out to your plumbing, but then see everything that they're doing from a sort of single bird's eye view.
To streamline things, to make it more efficient and effective, and actually understand the inner workings of what's happening, because it's so complex.
I was fascinated wandering around the trading floor today, because you see all of these pipes and the wires, and even going back to the 19th century where you had the vacuum tubes. In a way, this is sort of a modern analog of that, because you're sending data throughout all of these pipelines in order to inform end user practices, except ours are a little faster and a little more reliable than a vacuum tube.
And you know what? AI is such a huge sector, right? It's rapidly evolving, constantly changing. The landscape is just ever changing, right?
How do it's overwhelming.
It is. It very much is. So how do you stay ahead of the curve and remain innovative and just stay ahead of it all?
Well, in a way we don't. What we try to do is to recognize that we're the network that joins all these technologies. And because frankly, Astronomer and the open source platform Airflow is a very popular platform, we tend to attract those technologies to come to us and build integrations into the network. So if you're an organization like the New York Stock Exchange or FanDuel or the Texas Rangers, and you want to use all those different technologies and realize that you don't want to be too constrained, you want to have sort of control over that, but you want to be able to manage it, then we provide the network, the mesh, if you like, that brings all those technologies together. So we've created an open framework, an extensible framework, which is Airflow, to manage all of those integrations.
A lot of important takeaways there. Thank you so much, Stephen, for joining me.
My pleasure. Thanks a lot.